Stay with us for live updates.
Despite pressure ahead of the start of school, D.C.'s chancellor says it won't expand virtual learning. I'm Megan Cloherty.
A local school system enrolls thousands of students in virtual learning for the fall. I'm Christopher Cruz.
And it's 2 runs for Miami, 0 for Washington.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Rocket Mortgage.
I'm Peter King in Orlando. There's a new alert for the 1,000 or so Americans remaining in Afghanistan. Stay away from the airport. Here's correspondent Jennifer Kuiper.
Americans and Afghan allies in Afghanistan who've been told to make their way to the airport in Kabul for evacuation are now being told to stay away. The U.S. Embassy in Kabul says that there are security threats outside the gates. Those who are already at the gates have been told to leave immediately and avoid the airport unless they receive instructions from a U.S. government representative to do so. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
Correspondent Nancy Cordes says the U.S. is promising to get all Americans who want to leave Afghanistan out of there, with the deadline coming up quickly.
The Secretary of State insisted today that the U.S. will continue to help Americans and qualified Afghans get out of the country even after the U.S. military departs in 6 days. But he was intentionally vague about how the U.S. plans to pull that off once all the troops are gone.
A man who blamed Michigan's governor for the state's coronavirus restrictions has been sentenced to just over 6 years in prison for planning to kidnap her. More from Detroit at WWJ's John Hewitt.
The sentence was less than prosecutors had sought. They wanted 9 years, and 25-year-old Ty Garbin was ordered to spend 75 months, just over 6 years, in federal prison for his role in the alleged plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. In making his decision, U.S. District Court Judge Robert Jonker noted Garbin's guilty plea and willingness to fully cooperate with prosecutors in their cases against the other 5 defendants charged.
Oregon will deploy crisis teams of hundreds of nurses, respiratory therapists, paramedics, and nursing assistants to areas hard hit by COVID. Just how bad is it? Dr. Mary Giswald is Associate Medical Director for Kaiser Permanente Northwest.
At Kaiser, we're actually caring for some patients out in the lobby due to the lack of staff to take care of them. So we are at capacity.
The Congressional Committee investigating the Capitol incursion makes its first document demand. CBS News analyst Leonard Steinhorn.
The committee is casting a wide net with its investigation. To Republicans, it's too wide a net, a fishing expedition. To Democrats, it's a necessary investigation that goes to the heart of our democracy and our political institutions. Which side is right will depend on what they find.
Tennis's U.S. Open will be missing 4 marquee players next week. Both Serena and Venus Williams are out, the first time since 2003. Neither has played. Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal also out, all due to injuries. The Dow closed up 39 points. This is CBS News.
This hour's newscast is presented by Rocket Mortgage. Need to know what it takes for a home loan to fit your budget and your family? Rocket can.
9:03 on this Wednesday, August 25th. Showers and storms out there right now. Will be pretty muggy overnight. Lows again in the 70s. And good evening, I'm Ken Duffy. Well, it would not be a summer day in the D.C. area without some nasty thunderstorms, right? That was the case late today and into tonight as well, as we're still watching the skies and the threat of severe weather that's been pounding parts of our region with heavy rain and high winds. Let's get the latest now with Storm Team 4's Mike Stiniford.
And good evening. A band of heavy thunderstorms right through the heart of the district right now, stretching southward to around the Reagan National area, then through Alexandria, southward through Fort Washington and Accokeek. And another band of storms has moved into our far northwestern suburbs across northwestern portions of Loudoun County with a fairly heavy storm across the Leesburg region. Atmosphere still a little unstable, so the risk of severe weather will stay with us for the next hour or two, and then things will finally calm down around midnight. And I'll be back in just a couple of minutes with your complete forecast.
All right, Mike, thanks. Well, with less than a week before classes start in D.C. public schools and COVID infections on the rise, there's new pressure on the school system to let more kids take classes from home. D.C.'s State Board of Education has sent a letter to the mayor's office as worried parents consider what to do with their kids come Monday morning.
Given the COVID surge and increasing parent concerns, we asked DCPS Chancellor Dr. Louis Farabee if it's planning to extend virtual learning to more families.
Yeah, not at this time. We're actually less than a week from start of school. We will be receiving students back on Monday. Our staff have planned accordingly.
Students who have a doctor's note saying it's required they learn at home are exempt from in-person learning, but Ward 6 State Board of Education member Jessica Sutter says at its last meeting, many parents said they're not ready to send their unvaccinated child to school.
So some families have received a medical exemption for one child, but not for that child's siblings.
The Board of Education sent a letter to the mayor's office asking for flexibility in virtual learning, that DCPS consider requiring students older than 16 be vaccinated and to expand who is tested.
We're asking the mayor to expand that to have not just a sample, but really all students and staff.
Council Chair Phil Mendelson wrote a letter to the D.C. Office of the State Superintendent suggesting a change to the parent consent form wording, as parents have expressed concerns about enrolling their kids in asymptomatic testing. Megan Cloherty, WTOP News.
Meantime, this fall, Prince George's County Public Schools will let 12,000 students in grades K through 6 attend classes virtually.
When infections from the Delta variant of the coronavirus began to surge several weeks ago, parents began asking the school system about virtual classes. Officials created a wait list, and now they say everyone who signed up will be able to attend classes virtually. But officials are stressing that this is just a short-term measure, and students will have to return to in-person learning when kids 12 and under can get a coronavirus vaccine. There's no guarantee the virtual classes will be at students' home schools. They'll be assigned to schools when final numbers are in. Christopher Cruz, WTOP News.
And new tonight, the superintendent of Prince William County Schools says for now, the district will not require staffers to get a COVID vaccination. LaTanya McDade told Inside Nova that a vaccine mandate is worth exploring, but that she's not working on one. Currently, Prince William schools do not have a record of which staffers have been vaccinated, but it is following state and federal masking guidelines for students and staff who are indoors. We're also learning Montgomery County is the latest local government to require its employees to either get the vaccine or undergo regular testing. More on that from WTOP's Christy King.
County workers have until September 18th to get COVID shots.
I also hope that more companies, organizations, and public entities will require employees to be vaccinated or get regularly tested.
Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich says there's no reason for that not to be a requirement for any business.
Your employees who have been vaccinated and the families they have at home deserve to be safe. Customers coming into your building deserve to be safe. So doing this is an important step to accomplishing that.
Christy King, WTOP News.
Meantime, the city of Falls Church is also now requiring its employees to get the vaccine, but it's giving employees the option to request an exemption for medical or religious reasons, and those people will instead be subjected to regular COVID testing. The city points out that neighboring Fairfax County announced the same requirements for its employees. Falls Church contracts with the county for health department services. Well, still to come, a teacher is placed on paid leave for failing to wear a mask in a Montgomery County school building. It's 9:08.
Get a precision AC tune-up for only $59.